Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. As I've told you guys in videos before, I have a very small kitchen, and so I've been trying to get it a little more organized and get the most out of my space. This is a cabinet I hadn't tackled yet, and I actually needed a pan that I couldn't find, and it was in this corner cabinet. I have the stock just generic cabinets the builders had put in when they built the house. So there is that back corner where you can't get to it hardly, and so I would always put things back there that I didn't use very often. But the problem with that is when you do need them, you're going into that black hole and reaching for things and trying to find what you need, dragging out a bunch of things just to find that one thing. So I decided to organize it. Oh, and since you can kind of see, if you don't have these kind of cabinets, it is just a big black spot back there. But I have a light here I'm going to turn on, so you can see in there just a little bit better all the way back into the corner. I found these totes at Walmart in the sewing section, and looks like, as a matter of fact, there's some quilt batting or something on this one. But anyway, they are 12 by 18 inches, and I have 2 of them. So what I'm going to do is put in some of my pots and pans, or whatever, it is that I need to store that I'm not using very often. And I'm going to organize it a little bit better. So once I have that done, I'll bring you back. Okay guys, so I got it done. I'm going to put the camera inside the cabinet. So I've got my big roaster in the back on the shelf. And this big skillet that would not fit in anything else had to go there. And a stock pot that I use pretty often down here where it's easily accessible. Now on the bottom, in the hole, I've got 2 crates there. One of them has got a pot I rarely use, but I do use, as well as a roaster for that has a rack in it. And then the second one there has got some pans, some sheets, pans, and the lids that will also fit the pots down here on the bottom shelf. And then there was a few small lids I just put right in here. But now, if I do need anything all the way in the back, instead of reaching and grabbing and making a mess of everything else, all I'm really going to have to do at this point is take out a few things and then slide those over to where I can reach them easily. So, just wanted to share that in case you guys had the same terrible cabinets I have, and you wanted to organize them a little better, so if you needed something, it was easily accessible. And we'll go ahead and take a look at some other things I've done here in the kitchen. Okay, now I won't have to show you every cabinet because they're all pretty much the same, but I've invested in some of those little wire racks so that I could stack things separately, like my large plates and salad plates above that, and saucers, and still have easy access. Yes, I know I could have just put the salad plates on top of the big plates, but then when you're needing the big plates, it's kind of a mess to get them in and out. So I wanted them separated. So the wire racks do that. The same as over on the right with some of my shallow bowls, and then some other bowls stacked on the second shelf with a lid up on the third, and then above that the same thing, more of the little wire shelves to help separate things. On the very top shelves, I opted to put in those plastic containers where I could pull those down and access whatever's up there, because I couldn't reach all the way to the back anyway. So that just made that a little bit easier. One of these days I may spray paint those white so that, you know, they match everything in the kitchen, but right now it's not really a big deal. So if you do have a small kitchen, that's just some tips there on how to easily organize inside, as well as easy access to the top shelf. Now my iron skillets I used to have down in a lower cabinet, but as you can see, those 4 I use pretty consistently, and that was a bit of a nuisance trying to dig those out when I needed them to try to get the right one. So I decided to put those up on the cabinet beside the stove and just keep them out. I separated them all. The ones that I had to stack inside another one, there's a paper plate inside there. And I use command hooks on my fridge and put out my measuring cups and spoons. And some of the measuring spoons, I have several sets because I do enjoy cooking, so I have a lot of measuring cups as well as the spoons. As you can see, I've got 3 sets of those hanging on the side of my refrigerator there. They're out of sight from anyone unless you are standing over at the stove, so they don't look bad or anything like that. But that's just another idea. That was such a small cabinet area there anyway, and so it's just much handier to have those skillets right there if I need them. One other cabinet I almost forgot to show you. This little narrow cabinet here, I put all of my racks, and as you can see there's a muffin tin, cutting boards, anything that's kind of flat, I just put into there. And I do have my 2 loaf pans in there because I use those quite often, so I didn't want to make those, I didn't want to put those in the cabinet where I put the crates. I wanted those a little bit more accessible, and they managed to fit in there just fine. Another thing that I've done is use these blue jars to store a lot of things in that I use a lot. Like the oatmeal I put into a jar. If I have a spice, for example, the taco seasoning, I've got that into a larger jar because we use a lot of that seasoning. So when I bring it home from the store, I immediately put it into a jar and keep that out where I have it handy anytime I need it. Plus the cornmeal and a few other things there. Popcorn. I even put my dishwasher tablets or powder, whichever one you have, that would easily go into a jar as well. And then I'm shooting kind of at an angle so you could see under the cabinet there. This would work with your coffee mugs as well. But I had these pretty little cups that came with my dishes. So I put a tension rod under the cabinet, and then I Gorilla Glued the S-hooks onto it so that they weren't sliding around a lot, and I keep my little cups under there. But of course you can't see the tension rod unless you're at this angle. So they just look like a cute little, you can see the cups hanging down, so I really like that. But so it's decorative, plus I get the added benefit of being able to have my cups there handy when I drink tea, or my spices, popcorn, and things like that are handy right there on the counter, but in decorative jars. So just little things like that. I've really opened up some more storage, and just wanted to share that with you guys. I've done the same thing in other rooms in the house. Maybe I'll do a video on that one day. But the kitchen, until I'm able to get an island that's going to give me more storage and more counter space, this is what I have to work with right now. What you're seeing here, this counter is my largest counter in the kitchen, which I'll try to get a good picture showing my kitchen and the way it's set up. But this is where I have to do all the meal prep unless I do it on my kitchen table. This is the largest counter I have, so hopefully one day I will get the island put in and make that a little bit better working area. But for now, just wanted to share how I am working with a challenging small space.